Welcome back to another edition of Fly Tying for Beginners. Today we're going to tie a hot spot red squirrel nymph. The hook I have in the vise, this is the large size. This is a size 8. And it is 2 extra long and 3 extra heavy nymph hook. I'm going to start out by putting some weight on the hook. I'm going to use 20 thousandths because this is a size 8. This would be for large mayflies near trout stream. I'm going to stop that lead about an eye length to an eye length and a half from the eye. So we'll basically get this lead centered in the middle of the shank there. I'm going to use fluorescent orange. This is 70 denier thread. Let's start it behind the eye, and we're going to tie that thread down. Kind of make a little bit of a ramp there on both sides. Build up a taper. And I'm going to take that thread back to where it would hang at the barb. And now I'm going to take that thread back even further to make a hot spot on the tail, under the tail. I'm going to go down around the bend there slightly, and then bring it back up, and I'm going to build up a little bit of a bump there. Then bring that thread back to the position where it was hanging at the tail. Now for our tail, we're going to use red squirrel guard hairs. If you look at this, you can see those hairs sticking up. These are the guard hairs. What you got to do is just grab a bunch of them all together, the long ones, and pull them out. Might have to take a couple of clumps and a couple of tries before you get it. We're going to put them in our hair stacker. I like to whack the hair stacker on my knuckle. And when you're taking out of the hair stacker, lift the top part slightly and then tap them. Then when you take them out, they'll be sticking out there a little bit for you. We're going to take them out of the hair stacker in the direction we want to put them on. You can see they're nice. And I'm going to take out any of the loose ones. And we're going to tie this in, and we want this to be about half the length of the hook shank. Hold them tight until you get them secured, because squirrel is really slippery stuff and it will slide around the shank easily. I'm going to bring them up, and I'm going to cut them off right there by the lead. And I'm doing this just because I want to, that will help me get the taper on there. Now, since this is such a large fly, what I'm going to do is put a rib in there. I have gold and silver tinsel. And on this one, I'm going to want to see the silver, so I'm going to tie it in with the silver to the shank, or so that I can see the gold part. Then when you wrap it, you'll be able to see the silver part. I'm going to wax my thread. Just use the beeswax lip balm. Now I'm going to take my piece of hide, and I'm going to pull the short hairs out. Just grab them and pick them right off there. And you can see that piece is all bare there now. And you could just mix it and blend it with your fingers. And we're going to dub this on. We're going to make a nice skinny noodle, especially at the tail. when you're putting dubbing on, take how much you think you're going to need and cut it in half, and then cut that amount in half. And that'll be good to start with. That's how little it needs to look in your fingers. Now I'm going to go ahead and wrap the noodle. We're going to wrap the abdomen. I'm going to need just a little bit more, but like I said, you could always add more. It's a lot easier to add than to take off. We're getting a nice dark color out of this, and like kind of red tint to it, dark color. There you go, you can see that better there. See that nice color there. I'm going to take my tinsel. I don't usually cut big amounts off unless I'm going to make multiple flies. So I'm going to put my hackle pliers on it. And we're going to palmer this up. And you want to keep that tinsel pretty tight. You don't want it coming loose on you after you have the fly made. I'm going to tie that off right there. Now for the wing case, I'm going to take Pheasant center tail. And I like these for the legs. I like these ones with the red on them. They work good. And then the other part is good for, the darker part is good for the wing case. So for this, it's a big fly. I'm going to take about at least 3/4 of an inch. And I'm going to lift them up. And when you lift them up, you can see those tips are starting to align up. And we're going to grab all those tips when they're aligned, and we're going to pull them off. And if you can't do that very comfortably, you can just trim them off and put them in your hair stacker to align the tips. You can see the back, they're all different lengths there. Now the legs we want to go, they want to be about the size of the abdomen, maybe a little longer. So you want that amount sticking out the front. So we're going to go ahead and tie these down right there. Make sure they're on top. I'm going to tie them down towards the front. And you can see I stopped about a eye length from the eye of the hook. Go ahead and put some more wax on the thread. Now I have a little bit of a different blend of squirrel, and this is squirrel and the underfur from craft fur. So I'm going to go and I'm going to use that for the thorax. We're going to make this one a bit thicker. I'm starting it out with it even thicker, putting it on. And we're going to wind the thorax. I want that thorax to be nice and beefy. We get up to the legs. Now we can take this and push it like that. Take your finger from the front and push it up, and that will help you to divide them. You see them splitting. And then we can take equal amounts to each side. There we go. Going to tie that side first. Going to take the legs from my side. I'm going to hold them back and tie them in. I'm going to kind of pull them towards the bottom there because the thread will want to pull them towards the top. So if you hold them towards the bottom, they'll get right on the side. There we go. Pull that fuzz off. Now I'm going to take the wing case, I'm going to pull that over, and you want to try to keep that flat. Going to flatten that out. Going to hold that and put a couple of wraps on there. Semi-tight. You can see how skinny that is. Going to take my bodkin needle. I'm going to stick it underneath the wing case, and I'm going to pull that wing case back towards the rear there a little bit. And lift it up. Pull that back. Then you can squash it down with your finger. Now we could go ahead and tighten that. Going to lift up the front of the wing case and wrap in front of it. And now I can trim that off pretty close. Now we can just have to finish the head. Just wrap in all of the tag ends. Make a nice hot spot head. There we go. Take our whip finish. Tighten that up and trim that off. We'll take some of our head cement. I'm going to put it on the wing case. And go right around that nice head there. And here we have a hot spot red squirrel nymph. Hope that you learned something from this video. Hope you would subscribe to my channel. Please refer me to your friends. Leave comments, questions, suggestions, and most of all, thank you very much for watching my videos.